Hello and welcome back. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for your support and sharing Togetherness Media app with your friends. So, uh, in this segment, we are going to answer. Not I am going, Dr. Foojan Zeine, going to answer your questions about our relationship. So, hello and welcome back.
Hello.
So,
Here
Dr.
again.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Fujan. Uh, let's see. The first question is, how do you deal with the partner who is in communication with, so-called friends?
The word so-called
Mm-hmm.
appears to be like I don't trust you. Like you just say that the person is your friend, but
Mm-hmm.
really not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if that's where the question is coming from, there's definitely some trust issues here that they
Mm-hmm.
have. Uh, I think the most important factor is that if we have a friend, platonic friends usually have a criteria of how we deal with them. Right? There's
Right.
a way that we deal with platonic friends, regardless of their gender, which is different than who we are romantically involved with. So, and if we are in a relationship that is supposed to be a serious relationship, usually we also share friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people know about our friends and people know about our relationships. So I think it's important for us to know who the friend is and for the friend to know who we are. And if they're kind of like holding us separate, then I would want to know how come they're not introducing us or they're not allowing us to have like a group kind of friendship
Mm-hmm.
of all of us being together. But if that's also happening, but they're still choosing to talk to their friends separately, it's okay. If you believe that they are friends, then it's okay for them to have relationship without you being in it. Like we can't fulfill everybody's aspects of life. People need to be fulfilled with different people because they, you know, two people don't have everything in common, right?
Right.
So I don't have to be all in all for my mate. My mate might like to watch football with a group of people who I just don't enjoy football. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Let him enjoy that. Somebody might not, talk about politics. If I'm not really into it, why
Mm-hmm.
can't they just really enjoy having friends who, fulfill that part of them, regardless of the gender? We're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about the gender at this
Mm-hmm.
point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for me to be able to trust that it's okay for him to have a friend. But if you're saying the so-called friend, that
Mm-hmm.
means that there's a trust issue that maybe there's something going on with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then I would want to know what kind of behaviors the person has seen from the mate
Uh,
that would say, oh, this is not a friendship.
mhm, mhm.
Go ahead.
So, what do you do when you see them texting when you pick over?
Uh, Even if they're texting, or
Mm-hmm.
is your mate kind of like holding this back and like
Oh,
not
that,
wanting
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
really
exactly.
talk about? It's not even about a friend. It's more like, why is the person trying to hide things from me?
Exactly.
So regardless of who they're talking to, they could
Mm-hmm.
talk to your mother and go like this, and I would want to like, why are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
It could be more than they want to have a private conversation, but why are you hiding it? That's the question that I would want to ask. It's not even a who. So it's not like who you're talking to and how come you're talking to your friend and hiding. My question would be, that's interesting. Why is there a need to hide
Exactly.
anything with anybody?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like dealing with the issue that your mate is trying to hide something. Is it because you judge so much and they have to hide it? Is it because they think that you're going to do something that you don't like, so they have to, hide it? Are you being open or are you being accusatory all the time so that they have to hide it?
Mm-hmm.
People don't hide things if they feel safe. Now, safety might be they think you're being, too overbearing, or they really have something to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would zoom into that area. I would really look at and ask questions. I've noticed that you've behaved in a particular way as if you're hiding things from me. Can we talk about it? I want to know what the reason for that is. Have I been in any particular way that you thought that you needed to hide something from me or that you don't feel comfortable to share with me? I would just put it on the table and see what
Mm-hmm.
happens.
So in this case, you believe there is no password for phone. So, right? You don't. You believe there is no password for phone between partners.
Well, there should be password on your phone, not just
Of
because it's
course, but between partners, they need to know their password.
I would suggest in a very healthy relationship,
Yeah.
thing everything is up for grab. Now, a person, everybody should also respect the boundaries. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more like, although you have the passport, you shouldn't necessarily go to somebody's phone. You should always ask them,
Yeah, of course.
right?
Right.
So that would take somebody's trust away if you misuse your privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Because having it is a privilege. It's not an expectation. So when you say to me, like, you believe in openness, I'm like, yeah, but don't forget that openness is a privilege. It's not, that, okay, just because I have it now, I demand it. No, no, no. It's a privilege. But if it's taken away from you, then you want to know how come?
Mm-hmm.
How come the doors are not open?
Right.
And if you haven't done anything to misuse the privilege, then your antenna is up again. How
Mm-hmm.
come if I haven't done that?
Mm-hmm.
You think you feel the need to hide something from me. These are great dinner conversations between the mates, have to be open with each other and create that kind of a trust with each other.
There is a question here. One of our audience from Orange County. I don't mention the name. She said, always my husband accuse me because I'm on the social media and checking the different things. And he said, always you're on the phone. And he asked me to, give him my password. And I said, it's okay, but why you don't trust me? Should I do that or not?
Well, your behavior is it's changed, obviously, and apparently you're too much on your phone based on his experience. First of all, he misses you. He wants your attention when
Mm-hmm.
he's home. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not giving your attention, and it looks like that, if you can have a quality time with him, and you're choosing not to, and you're going like this constantly, then it might be that he's getting suspicious of what's more important in this, who's out there that is more important that you keep wanting to go. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably what it is. If there is nothing that you're hiding, my suggestion is open it up. And if you're hiding something, then I ask you, why come you're hiding? Because then he's accurate. He's picking up something.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you're nervous about something, people will find out, especially your mates.
Right.
People who are close to you will pick it up immediately because
Mm-hmm.
you're being out of integrity or you're having high anxiety. When we're doing something that we know we shouldn't be doing, the first thing is we have stress and high anxiety, and it shows everywhere. It shows in our behavior. So that's what I would say to you, that in order to restore trust, then yeah, give him that and let him watch it. So he might go to your social media and say, who is this and who is that?
Mm-hmm.
Again, if it's really true, just say whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
He might not like some of the people you have in social media, and he might have an opinion. Great,
Mm-hmm.
have a negotiation together. I like this person or I don't, and this is the way I have it,
And
and
why?
restore trust for that person.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. So there is another question. When I ask my partner what they're talking about, she would shut me down. Hmm.
If they shut you down, it's ask your partner, what is it that they don't want to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it depends on how you ask. Like if you ask in an accusatory way, Because
Mm-hmm.
the lady was just asking from Orange County, they felt like, she was being accused, right? So because of the way somebody's asking. Like, you could ask it in a derogatory way, like, who are you talking to? What are you talking to? How come you're talking to somebody and you want to hide it from me? How come da 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 da? So if you're coming in that tone of voice,
Mm-hmm.
um, then people just kind of like back off, and they don't want to give you the control. But if you come from a place of, that's interesting, what do you and your friends talk about? What do you and your friends who are the different gender talk about? Um, can I be a part of that? Can
Mm-hmm.
we have friendship that is all together?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an inquiring question and it's an open invitation. But if you ask from a domineering place, nobody likes to be controlled. No one. So even if somebody is not doing anything wrong, they're going to take a stance in front of you because you're attempting to control them, and they're not going to give you that leash. So that's why I'm saying it's important how you come across with them. Because if you're coming domineering and controlling, they're not going to give it to you. If you come open-handed and open-hearted and cooperative, then they might open. If you do all of it and they're not opening, you go back and make a question. It's interesting. I've noticed that I've attempted in all the different ways to kind of like be in your life, but I think that you keep hiding or you keep holding back, withholding some areas of your life from me. And I
Mm-hmm.
wonder how come that's happening? Is there anything I have done that promotes you to want to withhold something from me? Let me know. If not, if it's a part of yourself, then I wonder, because we want to be close, we want to give everything, we want to be transparent, for our love to grow. And when you keep withholding from me, it creates non-trust for me. And,
Mm-hmm.
it kills my intimacy. So let me know. So it's like just an open invitation, and you're kind of like explaining it very clearly that, hey, dude, if you hide, I'm going to be suspicious. So,
Mm-hmm. Beautiful answer. Beautiful. Thank you. So, I al- honestly, I always enjoying and learning with all of your words and sentences is beautiful. So, how can I be sure that there's nothing sexual attraction between, you know, friends, texting or talking?
you can't be sure.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be sure that if there is or not. People are going to be attracted to each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they might be even attracted to each other as friends or being sexually attracted to each other. But the thing to remember is the person you are with has chosen you. So it doesn't matter whether they're attracted to somebody else or not, or the world is attracted to them. They've chosen you and they're committed to you. If you have a question on the commitment, then
Mm-hmm.
ask how come that you don't trust the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fallacy to think, Amir, that as a human being, the minute I meet my mate,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm no longer attracted to any other human being,
Mm-hmm.
or that the minute I meet my mate, everybody else is no longer attracted to me. That's just not accurate. That's not real. So
Right.
don't put your questions or your attention in areas that you have no control over, and it's just not, that expectation is not real, because you're going to be suffering all the time. But if you put your focus on, if we committed ourselves to each other, obviously we have a sexual attraction to each other, and there is more that we've chosen each other for, right? So if I have the only type of a relationship that the only thing that matters is sexual attraction is one night standards. That's
Mm-hmm.
all you need. You don't care about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually want to be in a relationship, it takes the sexual attraction plus skills of relationship, connection, attachment. If you want to marry somebody, you need those two plus a lot more skills, because you're going to be partner always. So if someone is actually choosing you, it's not just a sexual attraction. They're choosing you because there's a lot more component there. So just walk around and go, I got him, or I got her, instead of constantly looking at, is anybody attracted to my husband or my wife or mate? Sure. I mean, of course, hopefully you pick someone who's attractive, so obviously other people are going to be attracted to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're questioning whether the friendship that is there has some sexual attraction or not, and then you're worried about, if this is going to go on, well, if this is somebody who they've known for way before you, they probably would have chosen them if they wanted to. So they came and chose you, and they, chose that relationship to be a platonic relationship. But if this friend that is coming up is a new friend, and you're thinking, oh, they might have something, then it goes into the last conversation we had, which is ask your partners to open those relationships to a mutual relationship between all of you versus just individualized friendship between your mate and the other person. Because if they become the friend of the family, become the friend of the couple, then it's a different dynamic that will show up. And if if your relationship goes to a place that the person your mate is becoming more attracted to someone else, then you got to face it and say goodbye and move on.
Yeah. So another question in our app. I have a problem with my husband, and he has a behavior, we call it flirtation. So, and I feel when he's flirting, it's damaging my feeling and our relationship. And he is a fan of you, Dr. Zeine, and he is watching you. Please tell us how much flirtation could damage our relationship.
Flirting damages love.
Yeah.
It damages the relationship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Flirting means I'm attracted to someone else and I am getting their attention in a sexual way. And that's what it is. That's what the word flirting means. I'm trying to get somebody else's attention with a sexual energy. So it's not that I'm being humorous, I'm being funny, I'm being social. It's all different than flirting. You can be all of that, and it doesn't have the name flirt. The minute you do all of that with a twinge of a sexual tension, it's called flirting. And if you've committed yourself to a monogamous relationship, if you haven't committed yourself to that, and maybe you need to talk to your mate about it, and maybe we should have an open marriage, or maybe we should have a polygamy, or maybe we should have a swinging marriage, or maybe we should have something else, because I like to be with everybody else. But if you've committed yourself to a monogamous relationship, then within that construct of the commitment, flirting will not be a part of that, because it hurts the construct of the relationship itself. So sorry,
Yes.
dude, if you're watching me and you hope that I would say something else, but I
Right.
truly believe that flirting damages the intimacy and the trust
And
that the
love.
two people have together.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dr. Zeine, we have more questions in our website, and we have lots of questions in our app. This question is, we have a couple of people, they have the same question. I believe I mentioned one time, but let's see. So, my boyfriend, he's still in touch and connected with his ex-girlfriends with the capital S. And,
It's been around.
and then when I complain, always he said it's just for networking and it's like a friendship, nothing more. But I find out it's more, and sometimes talking sexually and flirting. So it's the same as the last one.
Yeah,
This
set your boundaries. Set your
set the
boundaries.
boundaries. Yeah.
Set the boundaries and be very clear the structure of the relationship that you need to be in. And if this is not the type of a relationship that the other person wants, walk out, because this is a game. This is not appropriate. This is a game. And I'm not saying to you that people cannot be friends with their exes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, people can be friends with their exes. I have a lot of clients who they got divorced and they've become best friends after that, with nothing else in between. It takes a completion, at least from one person, at least from one person, for the relationship that used to be a sexual relationship or a romantic relationship to turn into a platonic relationship. Can those relationships actually be there? Absolutely. But again, remember, if you are in a committed, serious, monogamous relationships, having personal friends who are out there and not part of the unit, and you're hiding them and you're having conversations with them, does not promote trust, unity, and love in your relationship. It just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want, a cake and you want to eat it too, the two just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants it. Everybody wants to eat the cake and still have the cake. Well, it just doesn't work out in reality. People will get upset. Again, if but from the beginning you both have agreed to have a serious monogamous relationship. If one person says, I don't, I want to have an open relationship. I want to have this relationship, but have the ability to be flirting and being sexual and all of that with others, then you need to agree to it. If you don't agree to it, if it hurts you, then you need to set your boundaries, because you're going to have resentment. It's going to affect your love. It's going to affect your sexuality. You're going to be angry all the time. You're going to try to dominate them. Then they're going to tell you you're dominating them. You're controlling them. It's going to turn around to be all your fault. And then you're going to end up leaving anyway. I'm like, why do you have to go through so much energy for that? It's just more like straightforward. This is the type of a relationship I want. If you're in, you're in. If you're not, bye-bye. Like, don't waste my time, because this is just a lot of energy that is wasted in these type of conversations. So either someone is committed to the style of a relationship, either someone is, in the phase of life that that's what they want. Awesome. If they're not in that phase of life, they better get their stuff clear and be very honest with themselves and others, because then they just create drama.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you guys enjoy drama, you're going to have hell of a time. And if you enjoy drama, then enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people do.
Dr. Zeine, we have a couple questions here, but I know your time is limited. But I promised to one of my friend to bring her question here. She said she's married, and they have a kids, and two beautiful kids. And she said, I have a very close friend and girlfriend, and we are very close, and my husband, not my husband, her husband, her husband bring this topic to have a threesome with her. So, and he trying to convince her, but she said, I cannot understand how he bring this topic, and why he's still continuing and trying to get there. So
There are a lot of people, mostly men.
mm-hmm,
There are a lot of people who have some sort of fantasy about a threesome.
mm-hmm,
Most people have the fantasy about, like most men have the fantasy about two women and him, the man. But
mm-hmm,
some even have it with two men and one woman. So it depends. People have different types of fantasies that they
mm-hmm,
want to try. These are experimentations that they want to try. So is he asking for it? He's obviously creating a fantasy and asking for it. Does she want to do it? Should she do it? She should really be honest with yourself. These things sometimes don't work for women as much. Some women do it just because they want to please their men, or they want to say, okay, it's an explanation, and they feel hurt later on. So she really needs to be very, very in tune with herself, respect herself. That if she is the type that she can actually handle this, then take the experimentation and handle it and see if she can enjoy it. Usually, what I've said, and with working with a lot of people who have asked this, or even swingers, um, or even open marriages. Women rarely enjoy these things. Women go into relationships hoping loyalty and
Exactly.
a lot of attachment and the romance.
Mm-hmm.
And sexuality is only part of that. Men go into relationships, having a separateness about their sexuality and the romance. They can have sex and not have romance at all. They can have romance and the sex together. Um, but I also think there's another element that I want to share with you guys, which is when a marriage changes. Now, I don't know if it changed or it was always that, but if it changes from an attached people together to such a detachment of asking that union to have opened up with others, something in the person's attachment changed. So that would be something that I would look at. I've also had marriages where the guy was never really emotionally attached. They just kind of got married because it was the year to get married, or all the friends got married, and they just it's like, okay, whatever, I'll get married.
Mm-hmm.
But their inner commitment or attachment was never there. So obviously, in that, nothing changed in him. It just got revealed. So I think there's a distinction there for her to also see. Was he really attached to her and uh, felt that kind of an exclusive romance, and then suddenly something changed and he's getting more detached? And then I won't wonder how come, what was the change, and how is that going to shift in the future? So
Okay.
those are the answers that I would get. There's no yes or no answer to this. This is more like hard to really
Yes, she texted me again. She said, tell the doctor I don't want it, I don't like it. And every time he bring the topic, I said no, but I don't know how should I say no. Maybe no with the big wall, capital No.
It's more just sharing with them that every time you say this to me, this upsets me, and then puts a question mark for me in about our love, about boundaries that we have together, about the attachments that we have together, and then it puts the question for me. So it doesn't work for me when you ask those questions. I know that you have a fantasy about it. Also, I just want you to know that every time you say this to me,
It's
you shut
disrespectful,
down.
right?
Not only is disrespectful when you don't hear them no from
Mm-hmm.
me, but also now has put a question mark about your attraction to my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're
Mm-hmm.
ruining this relationship also,
Mm-hmm.
because you now brought something else into my relationship with my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
because now I think you're attracted to her,
Mm-hmm.
and that construct is no longer working for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if our relationship is beginning to kind of dwindle down and is going towards the destruction, then let me
Right.
know. If not, then my request from you is, please take that fantasy out of your head and stop talking about
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. Thank you for all of your helps. And I hope to see you next week.
it. 6 o'clock.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate for your
Thank you.
time. Thank
Yeah,
you. Bye bye. So,
bye.
everybody, you can contact with Dr. Foojan Zeine with www.foojan.com, Foojan, Foojan.com, and she's based on Los Angeles, but thank God we have internet and it's global everywhere. They can help you wherever you live. Thank you for watching us. Stay tuned. We have technology news, future tech, and computer news. It's coming back to back with lots of good music. The end of the night we have love songs, Love Wire, and also we have DJ and dance later on every Friday and Saturday. Stay in touch, don't go anywhere. Thank you.
talk to you about compassionate integrity versus politics and greed. As many of you know, I posted about my sister being in the hospital in a COVID room and that she has lupus and she's fighting for her life. I didn't let you know that her husband, Bruce, is also in a COVID room in the same ward fighting for his life, and that they stayed at home as long as they could. I want to tell you a little bit about why. In Montana, where they live, you can't get tested unless you're symptomatic, and then you don't get your test results for 5 days. Also, the people that they came in contact with, like my mother, who's had 2 heart attacks, 5 stints in a pacemaker in the last 5 months, couldn't get a test because she wasn't symptomatic, even though she could have been the asymptomatic contact that gave them COVID. The nurses in the hospital that are taking care of them can't get tested because they don't have tests to test them with. Those nurses are risking their lives and cannot get tested. The stress, the strain, the exhaustion that's happening in that hospital is met with the conflict around the courthouse, where people are carrying guns and saying that it's their freedom not to have to wear a mask. This is the situation in Montana, where the governor, Steve Bullock, is not returning my calls, where the health department, where I continuously call, is hanging up on me. This is the state of affairs in the middle of our country, where you, the people in the middle of our country, are at great risk of dying from COVID. They keep saying that the risks are so small and that you might not die and that it'll be fine. But I'm telling you what's going on with my family. My grandmother died of COVID and my godmother died of COVID. My sister and her husband are fighting for their lives, and my sister is not doing well. They couldn't give her the remdesivir until she went to the hospital because that's the law there. And there was no one to help them while they were at home alone, because there are no kind of nurses that can come to the house there because there's no test for them. When they say there are tests for everyone, they're lying. When they say there are tests even for the nurses in the hospitals, they're lying. People are dying and fighting for their lives because there's nothing but lies. And because the people at the governor's houses, the people at the health departments are simply so overwhelmed that they're not answering the phones, they're hanging up, and they're not returning calls. This is the state that we're in. The only thing that's going to change this is if you vote. And if you vote for Biden and if you vote for Kamala Harris. And the reason that's going to happen is because with women in power, we will fight for our families. We will fight for people to live, and we will fight for people to get tested. Because the only countries that are doing well with COVID are the ones that have women in leadership. Please vote, and please, whatever you do, don't vote for a killer. Thank you.